Let's talk about your 56 stores and the real reason you're buying 56 stores. I have a feeling it's not necessarily the cash flow like everyone thinks.
When I got started investing into real estate, that's all I would look at. I would look at the cash flow. I'd be like, all right, how much am I investing? How much am I getting back out in cash flow? Now it's...
You got out of college from Northridge. You went straight to real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. Started as a buyer's agent.
Mm-hmm.
Every buyer's agent dream is to become a listing agent.
Big time, yeah.
And then you built out a team.
Uh-huh.
And how long has it been kind of going like this?
I'd probably say like the last 4 years, I've kind of hit a plateau where we've been selling anywhere from like 100 homes to 120, 130 essentially for the last 4 or 5 years.
Do you think it's just like you don't want to do more than that, or it's really hard to break the plateau? What do you think it is?
I think it's a couple things. One is having access to the right information, getting certain people in your life that can mentor you to basically take your business to a different level. So I basically have continued to do the same things over and over and expecting like a different result. So I would say that I'm at a point now where I've started really investing in the business. I've started hiring a lot more people. Obviously, we're doing a lot more stuff with social now. And I would say that it's getting access to different information that basically will allow you to get a breakthrough in your career.
When you say information, like tell me a little bit about that. What are you talking about?
When I started real estate, I went the first 6 months without selling any property. And I had somebody approach me and he said, I will mentor you and I will teach you everything that I know, but I will take 50% of your commission on top of whatever your broker split is. And at first when he approached me, I said, I don't need that, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I'll figure this thing out. But then I went 6 months without closing a single deal.
Right.
Approached me again at the 6 months and he said, hey, look, I can help you. You've got talent. I mean, you can succeed in this business. You've got the work ethic. 6 months later, the next 6 months, 9 deals, then 18 deals, then 30 deals. I remember doing a walkthrough of a property with him and a husband and a wife. And the husband kept saying he wanted to purchase a home at a $500,000. And he basically told me, look, watch the wife's body language. Take a look at like, as soon as she's walking into the $500,000 home, she's walking right out. She doesn't like them. Look, I'm going to show her a $600,000 property and then watch the body language. Literally, we walk in and the wife was just like, kept looking up, chilled at the kitchen for like 10, 15 minutes. He's like, they're going to buy that home. I'm like, no way. The guy only wants to spend $500,000. He's like, they're going to buy that home. Sure enough, the people bought that home. So essentially what I mean by having a mentor is that a good mentor who's been through what you're going through, they can basically guide you to get to where you want to go a lot faster.
So, let's talk about your 56 stores and the real reason you're buying 56 stores. I have a feeling it's not necessarily the cash flow like everyone thinks.
When I got started investing into real estate, that's all I would look at. I would look at the cash flow. I'd be like, all right, how much am I investing? How much am I getting back out in cash flow? Now it's depreciation. So I'll give you an example. I bought a 25-unit building in 2019, and basically I got $1 million write-off on that building. I couldn't believe it. I literally emailed my accountant 2 or 3 times, and I told
them, Are you sure this is legal?
I told him, are you sure it's illegal? Are you sure that this is right? Let me get this straight. So you're saying that by owning this building, that wipes out all of the gains for my real estate business, and you're saying that I don't have to pay any federal taxes? And he looked at me and he said, yeah. I was like, I couldn't believe it. That's what I'm talking about. Having access to the right information, getting connected to the right people, reading the right books. But yeah, now I look at the return on investment, but I also look at the depreciation that I'm getting from the asset to see if I can minimize my tax liability and pay less taxes so that I can continue to reinvest back into the business or continue to reinvest back into real estate.
I'm actually in the process of creating a rental property course. Mm-hmm. And, one of the segments is tax and like ROI. People don't realize there's so many ways to calculate ROI when it comes to rentals. Like the basic level, like you just said, is people are looking at the cash flow.
Yeah.
Hey, how much am I making every month? Okay, I'm making a couple $100. This is cool. But then you take it a step further and you're like, well, what's your cash on cash return, right? Because if you do a BRRRR, like you said, it's infinite. Like whatever you make is pure profit on your cash. You got all of it back. But another way to look at it too is like, I just call it like the real return. I don't know the technical name, but it's like, how much are you actually making when you count all the tax savings and the depreciation on that too? Because like you just said, if you wrote off $1 million, that would have been in California, freaking, they'd have taken more than half of it.
Yeah.
You're talking about it just saved you 500 G's
in taxes.
The
other thing I didn't pay attention to was the principal pay down. Like when I started buying properties, I was just like, okay, how much positive cash flow am I making and how much am I investing? But I didn't realize that the principal gets paid down as well too, and then you get the depreciation as well too, and then you get to write off the interest. So there's so much more than just the cash flow that the asset produces, and that's information that I didn't know about, and that's information that we guide our clients as well too.
The interest deductions, you get depreciation, you get principal pay down, you get appreciation. Like, you know, me as a flipper, which is what I've done my whole career, it's great. Like that's how I make my income, just like you make your income as a realtor. Like you got to have some type of active income.
Yeah.
But when you realize what rental properties can do and prevent you from paying so much in tax, plus build your long-term wealth and net worth, like you start to realize like, man, I need to keep some of these houses.
I always started off keeping them at the beginning. The only difference was that I would put 20% down. The information that I had was from my father. He would put 20% down. They would cash flow, and then he'd hold on to them for a really long time. But then that would leave me poor for my business, which means I couldn't reinvest back into the business because I was always putting the 25% down instead of like a BRRRR strategy where you get your money right back out within a 3 to 6 month period, and you can continue making money with the same money essentially instead of having it tied up.
I always like to look at, and people don't really do this, is the velocity of money. Like you want to keep your money moving constantly. I never want to invest in something where my money just sits there and it's done. Because I know when you're in the real estate game, we come across deals all the time. Like if I can put the money towards that deal and then get it back out because I got such a good deal and go buy another deal and another deal, like it's just a no-brainer. It's cool to see that, you know, you kind of went from that old school mindset of, hey, 20% down, let's maximize cash flow, to, hey, you know what? A little less cash flow is fine because I'm going to go buy another deal.
It served its purpose, but I would have done a lot more damage back in the day had I known this information. My real estate portfolio would probably be upwards of 150 units had I taken a different approach. I don't regret anything, but I'm so glad that I know it now, just because you continue using the same money, turning it over.
Reason you came here, even though I would love to think you came to learn all my real estate investing knowledge and all that stuff, was to learn about social media, man. So, you know, we've spent a few hours at the office. What do you think you've picked up so far for the audience?
Probably say that just the power of it, to be honest. I've taken courses on social media, but one of the things that helps me out sometimes is watching how people produce their content. And that was the big thing that I've gone from you, how just it's not that complicated, I don't think. I think it's just a matter of being consistent with it, always adding value and just doing it over and over.
But also too, like for me anyways, you know, you watched me film a couple of videos and saw how we go about the process and everything. And it's something that I try and strive to make as simple as possible because, you know, we're talking about time and shortcuts, right? Like we only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And so if I want to put out as much content as humanly possible, I got to be super efficient with everything.
Yeah.
And then figure out too, what fits my persona the best. I think you just got to figure out like what works best for you. And you're going to figure that out as you go along. Like, hey, how can I efficiently make the best content, you know, in as much volume as possible? Because that's what I think the name of the game is.
Yeah.
It's volume.
Well, for me, one of the things that's been amazing is I started focusing on it like 2-3 months ago. I mean, I've got like 310 hours of watch time in a month, which averages out to about 11 hours a day. And to me, that's amazing to me that other people can be watching my content for 11 hours in a day while I'm doing something else. Literally, people are on their screen or on their TV watching you. For you, it's a lot more than that. But I feel like I'm at the early stages. And to me, just knowing that people are watching that for that amount of time is mind-blowing to me.
Crazy. Yeah, I'll tell you that just the first couple of times that I started posting and seeing that too, like, you know, to get monetized on YouTube, you need 4,000 hours of watch time. And I just remember it took me like 3 months to get that 4,000 hours. But, you know, when I hit it, I was like, man, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you think about it and you're like, people watched you for 4,000 hours. That's crazy.
So I plan on getting into TikTok. Obviously, we're looking to grow the YouTube channel. We've got a podcast that we're doing. And essentially, I'm just looking to get 1 million subscribers. I would say that's the
grand goal
on YouTube. The main thing though is I feel like I have this higher purpose in life, and I feel like my higher purpose in life is to help people and to educate people and give them access to the right information as it relates to real estate or some of the other things that I do. I just feel like a lot of people want to do things, but they just don't have access to the right information. Hence, they don't do anything. Or if they do something, they get themselves into like a bad investment or just a bad deal. That's the ultimate goal, to provide value to people. But obviously, the big, hairy, audacious goal would be to get to 1 million subs, on YouTube.
And one thing I'll say about that is that's what's so great about social media. I was saying this on a recent podcast that, like, you can get the best of all worlds. Mm-hmm. You can help a ton of people. Mm-hmm. Your message can be heard to millions, and you can make a lot of money doing it. Like, what else could you possibly ask for in a career? With social media, the act of social media, if you do it right, helps a lot of people.
Big time. For me, it's I've made tons of money selling real estate. I've bought $12 million that I own worth of real estate. It's not necessarily, I'm not chasing that anymore. I'm chasing more of the purpose as well too. Knowing as well too that the social helps out every aspect as well too.
So if somebody were to, want to become a realtor like yourself, we get a lot of young guys and watching this, young girls. Yeah. What would you say to them?
Obviously, you got to get your license first, but mentorship in my life has probably played the biggest role. Everything from the guy that's taught me how to sell 30 homes to the guy that taught me how to make $1 million a year selling real estate in a very efficient way. But essentially, there are a lot of people who will tell you, yeah, I'll teach you how to make $1 million a year selling real estate, but they've never done it.
Right.
And essentially what they're talking about, a lot of it is theory, meaning that like, oh, I heard this here, that this works or that works. And sometimes theory is different than actuality. So I would just say, and you can verify people so easily now, meaning Google their name, look up their Zillow track record, see how many properties they're actually selling. It just means that you have to be careful as to where you're getting the information from, because the wrong information will also make you really frustrated and will basically hurt you more than help you, essentially. So I'd say getting the right mentor would probably be the right.
And essentially fact-checking your mentor as well, because there's a lot of big talkers.
You have to be really careful who you get advice from, because there are a lot of people that will give you free advice, but sometimes it's worth what it costs, nothing.
So knowing all that, I mean, I think that's great advice. I think it's so hard to figure things out on your own. Mm-hmm. It's just, you're winging it, just hoping for the best. And man, you can definitely fail your way to success just winging it. No doubt about it. But
why?
Why
go through that,
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about just, the next step for you, man. I mean, you've got all this success as a realtor. You've got 56 stores. You've got, the social media you're starting up. Like, what's like the big picture behind it all? Like, what's going to motivate you to do all this?
I'd say family, man. I have a 2-year-old His name Jose Luis Morales the third.
There we go.
Did it after my dad because my dad's Jose Luis Morales. So I wanted to kind of say thank you to him for obviously everything that he taught me as a kid. My wife is expecting, so we're expecting our second boy, Diego Morales, coming September 2021.
Nice, man. That's exciting.
I'd say freedom is really the end goal to all this. Like having freedom, meaning I don't have to go in and sell a property today. So I'm a lot more focused on residual. I'm a lot more focused on purpose, and I'm a lot more focused on getting freedom to the point where my income is not tied to a very specific activity. So yeah, freedom is probably the thing that I'm focused on.
When I think about freedom, me personally, and just interviewing other guests as well, it's like there's two ways. I mean, there's the financial freedom, and I think the other one to think about, which you're also cautious of or cognizant of, is time freedom, right?
Agreed.
And so if you can build a business that makes money while you sleep, if you can buy rentals, if you can build up a team that does the things you used to do, but now you're not making as much, but you have all this new time freedom, it's so valuable. There's only so many things you can buy with money, man.
And I think that's the part that I meant to say, that's what motivates me, the time freedom.
Right.
That's really what I'm motivated by now, which obviously has become a lot more important because of the family now,
Right.
Like it basically made me make a lot more money in basically less time, basically. And now I felt like when my wife told me she was pregnant with the second one, I went into another gear again. So I have basically a 3-year vision where in 3 years, I will have more residual income than most people make as a couple. Like basically the goal is to have close to $1 million in residual positive income. That's the goal in
3 years.
In 3 years, basically.
Right. Obviously, I'm big on setting big goals. I could definitely live off $1 million a year. I think I wouldn't have an issue with that. But yeah, I think it's great. For me, it's just like you said, it's always about the time freedom for me, man.
Yeah.
I just hate doing things that lock up my time, and I only want to do things I enjoy.